Hi guys, Dr. Nick here. So I just wanted to give you kind of a summary of my workshop experience with Dr. Yu. So that's Dr. Simon Yu in St. Louis, Missouri in the US. He focuses, I guess, on the utilization of something called AMA, which is Acupuncture Meridian Assessment. And that's his assessment tool to kind of understand these kind of hidden possible infections and even hidden dental infections too. So over the last kind of that 4-day course, I really got a great introductory in terms of how his mind works and how he kind of applies his method to really hone in and be able to be effective at what he does in terms of getting people better. So I guess, like I said, the major thing that we did there was kind of utilizing his assessment tool, which is kind of a spin-off of EAV, which is electroacupuncture according to Vol, all that kind of stuff. It's an energetic assessment to see kind of where the stresses lie. You can look through the different meridians. That's what's called acupuncture meridian assessment. And he gave us kind of clinical pearls and clinical tips in terms of understanding that. And the big kind of take-home message from everything, which kind of I guess reinforced in me from my previous knowledge, is dental, then parasites, parasites, parasites. So those are two major topics that he talked about in terms of how they really stress the the system overall and are an important part of the healing process in terms of getting to the end result of, if you want to ever call it, healing. So he kind of showcased how he was able to kind of find different ways and how he kind of treats people too. And of course, it's not just about taking antiparasitics and you're healed, because there's a lot of going on, especially with complex chronic cases, and especially with cases that are kind of at the end point in terms of, say, cancers. They really do take a lot of effort and a lot of time, and there is a lot that has to be done. But he's found that utilizing or going after the hidden dental infections and treating those are a big part of the healing process. And same thing in terms of parasites and fungal infections and stresses, environmental toxins too. Don't forget that. That can affect the individual and really spin them off and get them to that chronic state. So really taking those stresses off, and for his perspective, going after the parasites from a kind of a warfare or mentality is his kind of best way to kind of combat them. And again, it's not just kind of one round of antiparasitics and you're healed. There is a process to it. There is a lot that has to be done, because of course you have to support the underlying organs and all that kind of stuff that we talk about. But of course, it's a big part of his process. So I really did appreciate the course overall. Dr. Yu is really generous with his kind of explanations and taking his time to answer questions. And I guess this overall, like I seen just from his clinic, being around there, asking the nurses questions too, and understanding from everybody's perspective of how he actually does care for his patients. He has a different, unique type of style in terms of how he approaches medicine, because he is traditionally an internist, and that's where he practices medicine. So he does utilize his skill set and his detective work to kind of hone in on the problem. And from his perspective, he doesn't really care what you call the definitive organism that might be stressing your body out at that moment. It's more about how can I treat, and if he can reverse engineer the process in terms of seeing what might be stressing, if it's a parasite, a bacteria, a fungus, a virus, or whatever else it is, then he'll reverse engineer and say, okay, this is how we'll treat this broader kind of scope of a problem. And he does get results. He gave some great insights in his different cases that he presented, even from like ALS, other neurological disorders, to cancers, and some interesting correlations of cancer and parasites, or using antiparasitics to treat or support cancer in general, because some of those drugs possibly have anti-cancer effects too that we don't really realize yet, but they are in the literature. So he wrote a paper on that with another colleague. That was very interesting to hear about. So there's a lot of great things that I got to hear, and it kind of got me excited in terms of utilizing another assessment tool for my practice, to be able to hone in even strategically and figuring out what's going on. And I would definitely recommend this course for any kind of doctors out there, because I think he still gives a great insight and a humble approach to medicine in terms of his perspective. And he always tries to do his best for his patients, which I do appreciate too. So my goal always, whenever I go to kind of any seminars, conferences, workshops or whatever it is, any hands-on things. I try to get the best from what I understand and try to apply it right away. And that's my goal kind of with what I'm going to do from Dr. Yu's course. So again, thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to always ask and continue to follow me.